All right, in this video, I'm going to introduce you to statistics, and specifically, we need to address a couple questions to get our studies going in this course. First and foremost, what is statistics? And as you'll see, in order to best understand that definition, you also need to know, what is a statistical question and what is data. So in this video, we're going to address all three of these things, and at the end, see an example to sort of tie in all of this work together and give you a sense for what we're going to be doing throughout the year. So first of all, what is statistics? So as you saw in Naked Statistics, it's going to be a subject that's going to allow us to summarize data, make informed decisions, answer important questions, and recognize patterns. And the way in which you're going to be able to do that is how I like to visualize that process is through this statistics wheel. And you've seen this on our whole course homepage on Canvas, but this wheel is the statistical process essentially whittled down into 4 steps. And the fact that it's a wheel really speaks to what I also describe on the course homepage, which is, being relentlessly curious. You're going around this process. So once you start with a statistical question and go through, collect information, make some calculations, create some visualizations to start making sense of that information that you've collected, you're able to make some conclusions, but that process shouldn't end. You should lead to more questions. And so we'll look at how that plays out toward the end of this video in an example. At each level, there are things that we're going to learn about that are going to allow us to consider our work's statistical analysis. So the types of questions we ask, the way in which we collect data has to be done in a way that's going to allow us to accurately describe a population that we're looking to make conclusions about. And then there are certain statistical calculations that help us to start getting an understanding for that information and visualizations that go alongside those calculations. And as we go through the year, the sophistication of the things we're doing at each of these levels is going to increase. In order to do that, it really, as you saw on this last page here, it starts with the question and the collect. And so let's talk about what makes a statistical question. So first and foremost, we have to address variability, and in order to answer the question, you should need to collect data. So if I just say, how tall are you? Well, there's no variability. You're only one height. If I were to say, how tall are my students? Well, now I have multiple students and I need to collect the height from each of those students and start to make some calculations and make some visualizations to get a sense for the height of my students. So you can start, and we'll address again this further at a little bit higher level in just a few minutes here. In that last one, I said, what is, you need data. Well, data is information. And so I've asked you this question before, and, oftentimes people think of data as strictly numbers, but instead just think of it as information. So it could be numbers like, how many hours of sleep did you get last night? Or it could be a category like, did you go to school today? And your answer would be yes or no. But if I collect that from all of you, that's information, and I can start to make sense of that data with some of our statistical tools. So let's look at an example here. Right now, all of you are watching a video. And as your teacher, after you watch this video, I want to know how it went and what do I need to do next in class? So a question I could answer or ask is, how did the viewing of this video differ between my H and I blocks? Because again, I want to make an informed decision about what to do in class so that I can help you progress your understanding in this course. So if we look at this wheel, we've started out with this question. The next step in the process would be I'd have to collect information from all of you about your viewing of this video. So first and foremost, I'd get a spreadsheet out and I'd have a line for each student. And so vocab alert here. Observational units. So observational units are the people or things that we are going to be recording information on. So in this case, I'm going to look at each of you and I'm going to record information about your viewing of this video. So I might record what block you are in. I have to do that if I'm going to try to differentiate between the two classes. The time you spent completing this assignment, the number of pauses you took during the video, whether or not you took notes, whether or not you have questions following the completion of the assignment, and where you watched the video. So if I have this information, and this information is done in different variables. So the red are representing quantitative variables. In other words, I'm recording numbers for each of those. And these blue ones are categorical variables, right? So these are the things that I'm recording, and they're categories because your block would be H or I, your notes would be yes or no, question yes or no, and location would be a word or a couple words that you'd record. And so with this information, I can start to answer this question, because I might look at just the students in my H block and say, wow, they spent roughly the amount of time on this assignment as the length of the video, didn't pause it, didn't take notes. So maybe as I look to start class the next day, I'll start with a quiz to see whether or not students in that class understood the material, and we can move on. Whereas maybe if I look at, say, the average time spent on this assignment for I block was 3 times as long as the video was. They paused on average, 12 times during the video. 95% of the students took notes, and 90% of the students had questions following up. So therefore, in that case, I might start out class with a discussion and go over some of the questions that people had. So as you can see, I have this statistical question because it's leading me to look at the variability, or in other words, students are going to have different answers for these questions that they've been asked. And I have to collect information from all of you in order to make my informed decision about what to do in class and how to answer this particular question. So you can see, I didn't talk specifically how I would, what calculations and visualizations I would do, but you can see how I've started to go around this wheel again. My conclusion for H block was, do my students actually understand what was in the video? And in the I block, it was, how should I go on with this class so that they better understand the material? Okay, or it might be, after we have that discussion, do they understand the material better? And I would collect more information. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a sense for how this wheel is going to work and how we're going to build on the process of statistical research down the road. And most importantly, what is statistics? What is a statistical question? And then what is data? All right, so thanks for watching, and I look forward to a great year and going over all this in further detail and seeing you guys actually go through this process a lot throughout the course of the year.